What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and we're back. I took 2 days off for a vacation, and I gotta tell you, it was a really awesome time. Connor, what are we listening to?
Put a better song on. I didn't know you were filming this.
Connor, we were listening to some Adele.
Look, Adele's the shit, and I'm not going to be judged for that.
What happens when the camera's not rolling? That's the type of stuff that happens right there. I remember this buddy of mine while in prison by the name of Matt, another tattoo artist who used to see me get like super stressed out, and he would tell me, he would say, Joe, listen to me. Sometimes you just gotta slow down, stop, think about it, and then start again. So maybe that's what the vacation was all about. I definitely slowed down, stopped, thought about it, and here we are starting again, and I'm ready to get back to everything. And also, with that being mentioned, I need to tell you, got some great content lined up for this week. Got a major cooking video on the way, as well as a major interview too. So I hope you guys will look forward to that. And thank you all for being patient with me while I was gone. But while I was gone, there was some pretty crazy stuff that happened with another prison escape. You know, it's kind of feeling like it's prison escape season. A lot of guys are breaking out of jail and prison lately, and I'm just thinking to myself, if they're thinking, you know, being locked up, ain't nobody got time for that. And with all of that being mentioned in this video, I want to tell you about this latest crazy fucking prison escape. So without further ado, what do you say we just go ahead and dive? I know, I'm really happy to be back into this video. This latest prison escape actually happened last Tuesday. In fact, when this happened, I was actually shooting a video for this. For some reason or another, I just never got the video up. But last Tuesday at 8 p.m. at a maximum security prison down in South Carolina, a guy by the name of Jimmy Causey escaped from prison. And the craziest damn thing about this is that prison officials didn't even know this guy was gone until 2 p.m. the next day. That is like an 18-hour head start this guy had during this escape. And what helped to give this guy this extended grace period while escaping was the fact that he made like a papier-mâché toilet paper roll dummy head that he placed on the pillow inside of his bunk, probably threw some clothes underneath the blankets, pulled those blankets and sheets up over that clothes right there nestled next to that little papier-mâché fake head that he had created. And I guess the guards were just walking by saying, there's a prisoner, there's a prisoner, there's a prisoner, that's just a papier-mâché head for a prisoner, there's a prisoner. But for whatever reason, this super cliche way of trying to escape from prison actually worked, and he had an 18-hour head start while doing so. Now, prison officials still say they have no idea how the hell this guy escaped. I mean, this guy must have been like Houdini inside the prison, because they are absolutely baffled as to how he got out of a maximum security prison. And wouldn't you know that this isn't the first time that old Jimmy Causey has escaped from prison. In fact, back in 2005, him and another prisoner hid inside of a trash dumpster, waited for the trash truck to come in, pick up the dumpster, dump it in the back of the truck, and then drove them right outside of the prison, where they stayed on the run for like 3 days. Now, when I read about this first escape and hearing that he got dumped into the back of a trash truck, the first thought that came into my mind was, how in the hell did they not get trash compacted in the back of that trash truck? Because don't trash trucks have compactors in them? And I gotta tell you, those guys are pretty lucky they didn't get squished in the back of that trash truck, because good God, that has got to be a horrible way to go. But for whatever reason, they didn't get trash compacted in the back of that trash truck, and they got away and stayed on the run for 3 days. But ultimately, their undoing, and the reason they would end up getting caught, is because of the fact, well, they got a little hungry. And while staying at a motel somewhere, they tried to order some pizza, and who they spoke with at the pizza joint was actually the manager of that place, who became very suspicious with just how these people wanted this pizza delivered. They said, hey, we're staying at this motel on the side of the road. Can you please come and deliver the pizza inside of the room now? We're gonna need you to walk in, put the pizza on the table, take the cash, and leave. That sounds pretty damn suspicious in my book, and it obviously was as well to this pizza joint manager, who then, after the order was placed, called her husband called the police went and arrested these guys, and when you know it, this woman, this manager from this pizza joint, she actually received an $11,000 reward for helping to get these guys captured. Now, just to give you a little more background about old Jimmy Causey, this guy was originally locked up and serving a life sentence because he kidnapped his lawyer from his original trial, feeling that, his lawyer really didn't do too good of a job representing him inside the courtroom. So he took it upon himself to go kidnap this guy. And when he got caught, he got a life sentence for that. So with that being the original charge for what this guy was locked up for, what do you think this old pizza joint manager woman was thinking when she learned that old Jimmy Causey had just escaped again? And I'm quite sure she was terrified hearing that this guy escaped for a second time. But this time when Jimmy decided to escape, he wasn't going out through the trash. In fact, this time he had a way more sophisticated way of going about things. And what he was actually able to orchestrate in an effort for him to be able to escape this second time was somehow, some way, he had somebody who was flying a drone over the prison and getting him the tools that he was going to need to escape. And what those tools actually were that he had delivered to him were a pair of wire cutters. Now it's just crazy to think that this guy was actually able to get this drone flown over to him and get these wire cutters delivered to him, one, without nobody seeing this happen, no guards in the tower seeing a drone flying over this place. Mind you, again, that he was locked up in a maximum security prison. How the hell they weren't able to catch this drone flying over to deliver him these tools is anyone's guess. Two, this obviously meant he had somebody on the outside who was able to fly this drone. I gotta tell you, I fly a drone myself and it's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're talking about flying, taking off, and landing somewhere where the drone is completely out of eyesight. You're just flying it off of the camera at that point. And the chances that you will crash this thing trying to land without being able to physically see the drone and just flying it off of its camera, again, those chances are very high that you're going to end up crashing that drone. But in this case, none of that seemed to happen, and this plan went off without a hitch. And at dusk on the 4th of July, Jimmy Causey took these wire cutters and cut through not only one fence, not only two fences, but 4 damn fences in an effort to get the hell out of there. How this guy was not seen doing this when not only are there guards in the tower, but also a perimeter check vehicle that rolls around that prison 24/7. I mean, this guy really had to orchestrate this plan to a T. He had to know exactly when that truck was driving by, and as soon as that truck drove by, he had to get through all 4 of those fences before that truck actually circled back around. And not only get through all 4 of those fences, but also make a mad dash to some sort of safety where he would be out of eyesight of that perimeter check vehicle. And it seems that is exactly what he was able to do. Through the use of a papier-mâché toilet paper dummy head laying on the bunk in his cell, and with a pair of wire cutters that were flown and delivered to him via drone somehow. Michael Schofield, an old Prison Break, really doesn't have shit on old Jimmy Causey. But the crazy damn thing about it is, as good as this guy is at escaping from prison, well, he's not very good at staying escaped. Staying out, I mean. That's a better way to word that. Because just like in the first escape back in 2005, where this guy was caught 3 days after escaping, this time he was caught a meager 2 days after this intricate, elaborate, ingenious prison escape that he had hatched. How the hell do you go through so much trouble and so much mastermind thinking and planning and plotting to actually escape, but God bless it, you can't stay gone? And just like in the first prison escape where this guy was caught inside of a motel ordering pizza, again during this escape, he was caught in another motel, this time down in the state of Texas, which is a good little ways away from South Carolina. And instead of actually ordering pizza, which led to his arrest in the first escape, this guy probably learned his lesson from placing those suspicious pizza orders. But it was, however, someone who spotted this guy and then called the police, where at 4 a.m. police busted through this motel door, catching old Jimmy Causey probably sleeping like a baby. And if police weren't completely surprised by just how easy it was for them to apprehend this guy this second time, well, then they were most certainly surprised when they saw what old Jimmy Causey had in his possession. $47,000 in cash, an ID, and 2 guns. And I'm just wondering where the hell he got all of this stuff, especially $47,000 in cash. Maybe this guy had a lot of money when he originally got locked up and he was just waiting to get his hands on this money during one of these prison escapes that might actually work. Or maybe this guy had the greatest prison hustle of all times. Maybe he was in prison selling prison porn pictures, like I used to do when I was locked up. But with what they caught this guy with all of this cash, this ID, these guns, You know, it really would seem this guy had a little more thought put into just how he was going to get away this time. And he's got to be sicker than a motherfucker thinking about the fact that just 2 days after he hatched this unbelievable prison escape, his ass is sitting right back in prison. And this time, they're probably going to treat this guy like Hannibal Lecter. I mean, this guy is Houdini of prison escapes. I can imagine prison officials are going to do everything in their power to make sure this guy never stands another chance in hell of breaking out for a third time. And you know, with prison officials not really knowing how he was able to pull off this second prison escape, they did state, however, that at least one prison guard was fired pretty much immediately in relation to whatever the hell happened during this escape. Now, when I hear that, I'm not really thinking that this prison guard actually helped this guy escape, but I'm thinking more along the lines of maybe that was the prison guard who was walking by checking on prisoners inside of their cell. There's a prisoner, there's a prisoner, there's a paper mache head for a prisoner, there's a prisoner. I'm thinking this prison guard who was fired was probably somebody who just wasn't paying any attention at all, and while on watch, well, they didn't exactly see this guy cutting through 4 fences after a drone delivered a pair of wire cutters, and he paper mache concocted this fake dummy head that he laid in his mat while he broke out of prison for the second time on the 4th of July. You know, that's kind of ironic actually to think about. This guy broke out on the 4th of July. The 4th of July is Independence Day. Guess this guy was really just looking for a little independence. But unfortunately, that only lasted for about 2 days. Hey, look! That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a big old like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. Again, we do have a ton of awesome content coming this week, including a monster cooking video as well as a big time interview, and I do hope that you guys will look forward to those videos. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day.